Back to the Giving Back to Your Community session. My name is Dr. Julius Davis. I am a faculty member at Bowie State University, and I'm also the director for the Center for Research and Mentoring of Black male students and teachers. So any assistance, given that I'm hybrid, in-person and online, please help me out in any way. This is a brother's first time doing it like this. But the title of the presentation for today is Giving Back to Your Community. And the picture in the background of this opening slide is actually part of a community that I grew up in Baltimore called Park Heights. And so my inspiration for this presentation comes from that growing up in Park Heights and wanting to give back. So I want to give you a quick overview of the community. And I've decided to think about giving back in 3 chapters: high school, college years, and professional years. And then I'll give you a quick wrap up on some things to think about for giving back to your community. And if you were here, I'd ask you to participate in this Slido and ask, what does it mean to you to give back to your community? And we could just have any volunteer share what it might mean to you to give back to your community.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But then I'll just keep on going. So the community that I grew up in Baltimore is called Park Heights. And one of the reasons why I wanted to give back, because as you can see from the opening slide, there were a lot of poor housing conditions in the community. They had over 2,000 vacant houses, units, and buildings and lots in the community. And it experienced a great deal of financial hardship through the lack of businesses, lack of jobs, and joblessness in the community. And many of the folks in the community had life-threatening health problems. And to go along with that, the schools were second rate, especially in the area of math. And so that, for me, as a young person growing up in the community, always made me want to give back. And so I want to give you just a quick tour of the community that I walked through to go to school. So I went to middle school and high school in this community. So this is a scenic route of the community in some of the more damaged area. If I could just pause it here. This street right here before you is actually one of the main streets I walk down to go to school and to connect with my friends on our way to school. And so it has significant meaning to me because one of the young men who lived here lived with his grandmother. And when I came from South Carolina to Baltimore, he really made me feel home and he looked out for me. And he lost his life at a point when I was in my undergrad studies, but because of its impact on me, it fueled me even more to want to get back to the community. So I'll just show you just a little bit going down his street, a way that we traveled often to get to school. And so this context is situating, my reasons for wanting to get back to the community. And I want to start with the chapter 1, which I'm calling the high school years. I think for me, when I got my head on right, because in middle school and elementary school, I wasn't always the best student, but something in high school sparked for me and allowed me to see something greater in myself and a desire to want to give back. And so I want to talk about the school community and the home community. And all the communities that I'm talking about, I think they give context to how you give back to your community over time. So as a student, I participated in leadership opportunities such as student government. I was the treasurer. I was a class officer. And in my school, they had a child care development center, and we actually established it from the actual start. And so those were some of the opportunities that I had early on to give back to the community. I wanted to share this historical context of youth taking a look into issues that impact their community to give you context for my next experience.
When I think about this, when I think about raising my children in a black community, I wouldn't want to do it. From my experience, I think all black communities are like this, personally.
All right, y'all, listen up. We have an assignment.
No, I don't think that black communities have always been this way. A long time ago, I know people used to do things like wash their own doorsteps and even discipline kids that weren't even theirs. So if people knew kids that would do things that weren't right, they would discipline them, then they would go home and get disciplined by their own parents.
The only way we're gonna find out the truth is to ask the elders. Our assignment is to interview elders who have lived here all their lives. So, is everybody down? Yeah. All right, we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
I'm really glad that you're undertaking this project because it's important that our young people understand how we got where we are, the sacrifices we had to make. In the black community, retail outlets were everywhere in terms of providing services to our community that the larger community denied us access to. So you had clothiers, you had restaurants, you had you had places where you could go purchase insurance, where you could go get your health care, all provided by black professionals, because they were denied that access by the larger community, and we had to develop it ourselves.
The steps, oh, you've heard the story of the steps. They were scrubbed clean.
You saw it was the handwriting on the wall where you knew the day was coming when these businesses, these black businesses that have sustained us as a people, as communities, would no longer exist.
I learned that black communities have been clean at one point in time, and they were nice.
So if I set that as the context for thinking about my notion of giving back to the community, these youth represented my experiences. When I was in high school, I participated in a law program, a pre-law program that examined my actual community, investigated the abandoned houses and other issues, economic issues and community issues that were impacting the community. And this was like me, like those young people that you saw in the video, trying to better understand why my community looked like this. And like those young people shared, I did not think that the community was always that way. And actually, upon deeper looking into the community, I found that many of the community reflected just what was shared in the video. And so it led me to becoming a youth board member to, again, try to give back to my community, make a change as a young person. I was the youth board member for our Park Rights Corridor Coalition. during my high school years. And I used that opportunity to develop my understanding of how I wanted to give back to the community, to develop as a leader, and to develop as someone who was committed to the community. And so chapter 2 would represent my college years. I start out with my experiences at Lincoln University, which I think significantly impacted my development as someone to give back to my community. When I attended Lincoln, many of the professors were actually alumni who came back to the institution to give back. And that further fueled and let me know that I was in the right place to develop. I would like to give you a consideration that during your college years, your high school years, that you should be developing the knowledge and skills to give back to your community. And for me, throughout my educational experiences, I have used it to the best of my ability to figure out how do I give back and how do I continue to move things forward with the knowledge and things that I was developing. A quick short deviation from the story. When I was an undergrad, I actually set out to do engineering. And I actually got out of engineering because I didn't know how I could use it to give back. My dad actually pushed engineering because I was good in math. But for me, engineering never really fit because I never could figure out how I could give back to the community. And so I probably was the end of my sophomore year that I had an epiphany that I was good with children and I was good in math, and that why not consider teaching math. And so all of my degrees are in math ed, some shape or form. And I've learned over the years that I'm able to give back in any context, any way. But when I was in high school and when I was in the early years of college, I did not quite see it in the same way. So again, similar to high school, when I was in college, I developed leadership-wise through student government. I was vice president and president of the math club during my time there. And those experiences really helped me to become more politically involved, helped me understand the political context for which my community was situated and what I needed to do to develop during those years to further be able to come back and give back. One of the things that I did that I was really fortunate to be able to do is I was able to develop an international perspective of giving back to my community. During my undergrad years, I was fortunate to have them pay for me to go to the Virgin Islands to participate in a global leadership experience and to participate in a program called Crossroads Africa, to go to Malawi, Tanzania, Ethiopia, to better understand like the issues that were impacting Black people internationally. And so those experiences helped me to see that what I was seeing in my community wasn't just happening in the local context, but it had an international perspective that these experiences helped me to realize. So my educational plight, to be quite honest, I never really thought to pursue a doctorate when I was in high school. And it actually started to materialize in undergrad because I had mentors, as I shared, who went off, got their doctorates and came back and taught at the university. And all of them invested a great deal in me and into other students at the university, and it allowed me to see myself as a scholar. And so I went to Morgan State University to, yes, Dr. Shanti, yes, Morgan State University, our alma mater, to develop at the doctoral level because as you can see in the chapter 3 of my professional years, when I started out as a teacher, I taught in the high schools, in the middle schools that I attended as a student. I wanted to give back. And many of the students in my class were actually friends of mine. And one of the things that I realized in becoming a teacher was how much I needed to learn more to be able to impact the kind of change that I thought should take place in my community. And so these early experiences as a teacher were early stages of me giving back to the community, being involved, trying to help change the dynamics that I saw impact me and many other brilliant Black children in my community. And the developing as a scholar piece, when I was at Morgan State University, one of the reasons I wanted to come back, because my goal was to give back to the community. And so if I was going to develop as a researcher and a scholar, I wanted to situate that context within my community. And so I did that and conducted research to further investigate why my community was the way it was. If you've ever heard any other talks that I may have given around my community, one of the lenses that I used to look at it was critical race theory, a framework that's received a lot of debate in the news, but it really helped me to understand how racial issues, racism, and issues of economics impacted my community in a way that would help me to make a change. So I developed further as a researcher through a postdoctoral experience at the University of Maryland, College Park. To be quite honest, I had no intention of going there initially, but an opportunity presented itself for me to participate in a research project focused on Black teachers teaching algebra. And so that experience led me to develop a focus on Black male math teachers from the research experience that I had at College Park. And now, as a faculty at Bowie State University, from that experience, I began to center my work around Black male students. And to be quite honest, I never really wanted to do that either, because I thought that all Black children, because that was my focus of my education, needed the attention, needed the focus. And so something in my research and my findings and in being in schools led me to see that Black males were always underserved. And so it became a natural area for me to focus my attention on because of a commitment to the community and a commitment to seeing things better for them. And so this picture represents the many programs that I've been able to do and the many young men, old and young, that I've been able to work with as a faculty member at Bowie State University to further give back. If I could contextualize this a little bit more, coming to Bowie State University actually shifted my giving back. Prior to coming to Bowie State University, I always saw giving back as situated in my Park Heights community. And as I share with you, my teaching, my research, all that situated there, but life circumstances, for some reason, shifted my focus to being at Bowie State University and having a focus early on Black males. And I share with you the focus on—
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Focus on Black male teachers. And so if I look at giving back today, to my community today, it doesn't reflect what I thought it was gonna look like when I was in high school, when I was an undergrad, master's, or even a doctoral program. It's actually superseded any level of expectation I had. I actually really wanted to hone in more so on Park Heights. I did some things there, still do some things there before COVID, but it's now expanded to more programs for Black male students and Black male teachers, which has become a very central part of my way of giving back, sponsoring educational events. And this year, I'm happy that we were actually able to fully fund an endowed scholarship to be able to support young men who want to come to Bowie State University to be an educator. And so this has been my way and my pathway to giving back. If I could offer any advice for anyone considering how to give back to your community, I would say keep in mind that it's a process. It just doesn't happen overnight. It's something that really develops over time. And during this period, you have to develop the knowledge and skills to be ready to make the kind of change that you want. And as I share with you, your focus on change may differ. So each point, high school, college, to where I'm at right now, they represent different points in my life and how my shift and my focus on giving back to my community has changed. And so the one thing that I would add to anyone else too is to take advantage of all opportunities. All of the things that I share with you that I participated in, I think in some ways prepared me to give back to my community. I didn't know it at the time, but they all did. I would even add that things that you do around your house as a young person also prepare you to give back to your community. And above all things, I would say that you should be true to yourself in whatever you decide to do to give back to your community. And that ends my presentation. Absolutely.
Forgot to say, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Because I was so excited to hear what Dr. Davis had to say, I forgot to read his bio. So I'm going to do that right now, but you probably already know all about him because he just said it. So Julius Davis is the University System of Maryland Wilson H. Elkins Associate Professor of Mathematics Education and founding director of the Center for Research and Mentoring of Black Male Students and Teachers at Bowie State University. Dr. Davis holds a doctorate in mathematics education from Morgan State University, a master's degree in middle secondary instruction with a concentration in mathematics from Edinburgh University, and a bachelor's degree in mathematics education from Lincoln University. So I think he loves math. Personally, I can say that Dr. Davis just waves the banner in the community for Black and brown males. He believes strongly that there is a need there, and he does his very best to meet the need. And I've seen that in my own family. So we are very excited to be able to hear from you today. If there are any questions from the chat or in the live room, we would love to take those at this time. If you have any questions for Dr. Davis, we can take those questions. And after that, there is another session afterwards, but we want to say thank you for participating in Professional Studies Week. As you know, this is our very first year and we're very excited about it. Once you leave this session, once we're done, you'll get a survey. We ask that you complete that survey so that we know how to serve you better, because we are coming back in 2023. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. I see a hand raised. Yes. Dr. Malusa.
Yes, thank you so much. I think that was a great presentation. And I have a question for Dr. Davis. I teach economics, and one of the things that we've been looking at is the lack of minorities and women in economics. And what many studies show is that one of the things that keeps minorities away as well as women from economics is the math. So what advice would you have for young students, especially when it comes to math? And then apart from that, I'm looking for areas where we can collaborate. I have an economics summer program, and I think it would be good if we could have like one of your young people, the young African American males that you have, just come and mentor, or even just come and inspire other young students who are keeping away from economics because of the math.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate the question. I think that that's a multifaceted question. So I'll go back to a quick point. While I always did well in math, one of the things that I realized when I went to college is that I didn't know how to study. And I think for a lot of young people, they're engaged in math, but have never really been taught how to learn it. And I think that studying for math is much different than studying for other subject areas. And I think that that's one area that I think that young people need to. I think the other thing is that there are a bombardment of negative perceptions about mathematics that carry over for adults that transfer to children. I think that we have to help young people to see mathematics in a new positive perspective, and do not allow the negative perceptions of mathematics to continue on without being challenged. I think the other piece is, I think that we have to lay out all of the supports. Oftentimes students, what I find is that students don't know what they don't know, or they don't know how to ask for help in the area of math. And I think that we have to kind of sometimes grab them and take them under our wing or whatever services that we're providing and make sure that they are able to grasp the concepts. And I think that those are just a few examples, but I think both faculty, teachers, and students have to commit to wanting to learn it, and I think that it can be done.
Thank you.
Now, I think the area of economics raises another piece, and I think it's similar to what my experience is with engineering. I think a lot of times, young people who may have a similar interest as me, who want to give back, can't see how to be able to give back with a field like economics. It feels maybe disconnected from their own lived experiences. And I think that we have to do a better job of connecting economics to our young people's lived experiences. So as someone, as I said now, like at this point in my life, I can see connections to anything that I have interest in. And so economics in terms of wealth building for me is important. Economics in terms of how it impacts my community is important. And I don't know that all young people who are trying to get into these respective fields can see a connection beyond just the doing the problems and doing the concepts in class. I think that we have to really make it connect to their lived experiences.
Thank you.
No, thank you for the question. I hope I in some way gave you something to think about with the answer that I provided.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But one additional thing that I would probably like to follow up with you is maybe just connecting with some of the young people that you work with, who can probably mentor high school students who come to our economic summer camp. You know, if the minority students can see college students who are doing those courses that traditionally have not been done by minorities, I think that would be a big step in just getting them in the door.
I see that we're doing very similar work. I always believe in connecting young people to college students. And most of the programs that I'm doing on a regular basis, I'm in some ways connecting young people to like college students, and not only college students, but even faculty members who look like them. I've found that to be important, especially when young people haven't seen like, not even just saying like math, right? There's very few Black male math teachers or Black teachers that are in math. But even when some of the programming that I'm doing, I'm finding that a lot of students have never even had a Black teacher, let alone a Black male teacher. And so like all those things impact how they see themselves. And I think it also impacts how they see themselves doing intellectual work, right? So teachers do intellectual work and it requires a certain knowledge set, skills. And I think young people need to see that on a regular basis. Folks who look like them.
Thank you. Thank you for the great work you're doing.
Okay, there are no other questions in the chat, Dr. Davis.
No, I was just checking.
Okay. So did you want to give any final remarks as we close?
No, I just continue to welcome the opportunity to collaborate with, I don't know if I should just call it the professional studies or just the education. I welcome the opportunity to continue to collaborate with you all. I think that we've started some great things this year. I'm looking forward to continuing to build. I'd like to also add that I am a board member, a proud board member for the education department on the advisory board. Look forward to continuing to collaborate with Dr. Ashanti. We've already done quite a bit in a very short period of time. I had said the last time I was here that I feel like we've been collaborating our whole career, but we just really started. And I welcome the kind of energy that fuels us all to continue with passion, the work that we do for young people. So thank you all for having me. I look forward to continuing to work with you all.
Awesome. Thank you.